Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fable Table, an actual play live stream focused on critical world building, collaborative storytelling, and finding the fun in games. I am your host, Nick Bowen. Joining me today are my good friends who now have nameplates, as you can see here. Joining me today is Travis, Brian, Andy, and Shannon. How are y'all doing today?
Doing great.
Yay! Excellent. Last week we did character creation for this new season 3, and we are going to continue, or I guess start our game of the Wildsea by Felix Isaacs. It is going to be one hell of a journey. I've got some good stuff planned for us. We might actually end early today. But you know, we always get derailed, so who knows? We'll see. All right.
See how that plays out.
Okay. Are there I guess I'm ready to just jump right in, and I'm so excited. But is there, I guess, anything for the good of the order before we dive in? Any cool news? Any fun plans, good jokes?
No.
My brain is tapped from a excitable work day, so
Excellent.
I'm good to go.
Let's dive in, friends.
Okay. Let me grab my audio and we will begin.
I want to swim in the leaves.
The camera shows us a black night with a new moon. The night lit by clear, clean sky populated by millions of stars. It is quiet and still, save for the sounds of the sea. Leaf on leaf, branch on branch, the rattle and buzz of uncountable insects. And we see, moving in as silhouettes in the night, two ships, one toward the other, anchored. And the other, the one moving, with faint lights slowly gliding towards the other ship. We get a shot overhead looking straight down. We do not see the sea. It appears completely black. And the shot is panning across these ships from above. Bodies and shadows and lanterns moving on the active ship. And we see nothing on the anchored one. Beams of light begin to illuminate forward, piercing through the black to illuminate the anchored ship, revealing empty decks. We see a large but dim pale blue light appear, moving underneath the surface of the Wildsea, moving wide around the two ships, engrossing them. Much, much larger than the size of these ships, circling predatorily behind the active vessel before disappearing. We get a close-up of the deck on the deck of the active ship of ornately masked figures in flamboyant black clothing, decorated with silver trim and starry patterns. The prow of their ship has an enormous fang that could have only come from a leviathan. And we get a shot of the hull of this ship as it is moving. We see the leaves in this close-up shot. Bristling against the hull. The ship, its paint, old and worn save for one place where the name is painted on the ship. There is a coat of fresh paint immediately around it, and fresh coat of letters, Giant's Fang. There is more activity on the deck. Someone clicks their tongue and covered figures move efficiently in response, redirecting the high beams to different points on the anchored vessel. Someone charges up a deck-mounted electric railgun. There are others opening weapon lockers and passing out tools and weapons, all with military efficiency. Readiness. And then, suddenly, without warning, the confident ship shudders. Its crew lurch forward, most catching themselves before the quiet is pierced with shouting and clamoring. Orders suddenly are being barked in a panic. The light beams all turn down around the side of the vessel, illuminating the verdant green sea around the hull of the ship. A red flare is fired up into the air, then another, then another. The camera moves over to the anchored ship in full, the red dim flare light on the empty deck and hull as we hear the sound of a chainsaw bite of a ship. But it doesn't sound like a ship. It sounds more like an animal, ripping and snarling along with crunching and ripping of wood and metal. Screams and shouts are echoing across the waves. As the camera pushes in on this ship, we see that it is a patchwork of many other ships, strangely. It is not a ship, but a conglomeration of others. Gaps between its pieces of detritus slapped together in the form of a ship. We hear the sound of wood groaning and branches snapping, people moaning and crying. And the camera begins to pull away from the patchwork ship, and the sound of predatory animals calling and whooping draw closer to the scene, and then more screams. Our anchored ship then begins to move, turning quickly, manned by no one, moving towards a wave. And suddenly the blue glow beneath the surface of the sea appears again. With it, swelling, the sea is being pushed up by some large body. The ship matches pace with the glow directly above it, and then the glow and swelling dissipate, and the ship begins to submerge beneath the sea. And then we cut immediately to a bright, sunny day. We see your ship, a much nicer ship, a much healthier ship, barreling on in a bright, sunny day in the Foxlofts. A green and gold-leafed environment with tons of big trees sticking up all over the place, scents of sap and furry musk from many, many animals in the area, large concrete, dilapidated buildings lying all around and in the distance with huge branches and roots growing through them, waves of leaves crashing against them. Tents appear on open floors and flags are hung from all over the place. And littered throughout the Foxlofts, of course, are many, many orange foxes from feet to chest, and then from there to the top of their long, tall heads and ears, it's just pure white. They sit on branches and concrete staring at your ships. There are ropes being hung between buildings with many, many flags. And as we get the first shot of one of our characters, it is the captain of your ship, Captain Soliday, at the helm, and she is looking at the flags intently, squinting to make sure she's reading them correctly, and she frowns. And she begins to pull on a rope that rings a small bell, a bell that you might recognize, and it is a call for a chart. A call requesting information. But that might have to wait a moment, because all of you are really busy on this nice, warm, blustery day with your ship's kites, pulling it forward, helping it go its maximum speed on these favorable wind days. And the tentacles of your ship that normally keep it moving as they walk and crawl along the surface of the Wildsea are in fact kind of just like leaping and bounding, the wind really letting them go. So, where is everyone on the ship? What are they doing? And can you all each please describe that and your character and what they look like? Who would like to go first? Where is Dill?
Shadow, I think you're muted.
You are not muted, but we cannot hear you.
Uh-oh.
Will someone else go first, please?
Me?
Shannon, yes, we see Amber Bloom somewhere on the ship.
Was I muted?
What is she
Oh my
doing?
God. I think that she is like in a cargo hold, and she's like doing the thing with like a rope, and she's like tying things off and like just making sure that like all of her gear for whenever she has to go delving down. If they should find anything, it's always best to be prepared. And because of the nature of their ship and the kind of crew that they have together, it's always best to have everything ready to go because it can go at a moment's notice. So she's preparing herself in the cargo hold, getting ropes together, getting hooks, and her spider dog is helping her like pull rope, and whenever he gets tired, he just comes and like sits on her shoulder. Amber is an interesting looking person. She is tall and muscular, and she has bright pink hair, and a very interesting scar. Like it goes from the top of her head like all the way down her face, and she's got a hook for a hand, courtesy of her time in the amber. When she woke, it was no longer a part of her body, and she has made do since waking up several years ago.
Excellent. And what is she thinking as she hears the call for fresh maps and information?
Not it. That's exactly what she's thinking. She puts her finger on her nose and she's like, not today. So.
Perfect. And where do we find Dil Streganon?
Well, deep in the ship's galley, there is a pungent smell of caramelizing onions and some freshly sliced bread. Next to the stove, there's just a towering stack of pots and pans that suddenly moves and adjusts the onions on the stove and keeps them from burning. And Dil Streganon is a lanky golem made of kitchen bits and armory bits, and he's busy at work trying to put together a set of grilled cheeses for the crew. Not that he is super confident that what he found was cheese, but he's gonna melt it onto this bread and onions. So. And
Amazing.
And when he heard the call for charts, what went through his ghostly head was the thought, I need to invent a cocktail called a call for charts.
Excellent. And
Nice.
just because I'm not going to be able to let this go, what kind of cheese are we working with here? Like what animal produced this dairy?
Your guess is as good as Dill's. Dill found it in a market. Some guy said it was cheese, and he grabbed it. And not wanting to look a gift cheese in the teeth too closely, he's he's just going for it. And you'll have to let him know how it tastes.
Fantastic. And finally, where is
Mhm.
Prickles?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you
Is
now.
my mic working?
Yes.
Ah, fantastic. Love it. You will find Prickles in the lens room. He's looking out about the ship. He has a spyglass to his eye, scouring the waves, finding foxes, looking for other ships, looking for things as he hears the bell and pulls it away. And you find a living cactus, as Prickles is an ectus, a cactus-like being. He is green with spines protruding from all parts of his body. You see he has a beard made entirely of moss that kind of moves around as he grumbles, hearing the bell and knowing that he's been summoned again. You also see that Prickles is wearing plain clothes. You would find it weird for a cactus man to be wearing clothes, but yet he is. And sprouting out from various different points around his body are flowers, cactus flowers of varying different colors and sizes and shapes. Hearing the bell, he grumbles and mumbles, puts the spyglass down, grabs a chart from a pack, and starts moving out onto the ship.
Prickles. Yes. I don't know if you saw the flags out there, but things aren't looking good. It looks like there's another ship lost or didn't show when it was expected. There's all these weird rumors we've been hearing about leviathans in the area and other strange happenings, maybe even maw ships, some of them say. Maw ships being vessels that were abandoned and left and became haunted themselves. Anyway,
Why is this
we
why
need
is this a problem, Captain?
well, they're saying that the Foxlofts are becoming a dangerous place to sail. And well, I am curious when the last time you updated these charts was.
Approximately 90 seconds ago, sir.
And may I take a look?
Of course. I'll show the chart and you will see a very detailed orientation of the Foxlofts around with different sizes and shapes of trees and motions from the area. And you'll find that everything is finitely colored. And you'll see that there's a little bit of fresh red dust on the map where a few lines and a few foxes have been drawn in. But you'll find a peculiarly absence of red flowers on Prickle's body.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay. Well, you really put yourself into your work, don't you?
Don't you?
Yes, but not in the... They say blood, sweat, and tears, but they don't say petals.
I don't follow, Captain. Would you like a petal?
No, I'm fine. Look,
Pickles is spicy.
Prickles is spicy. Well, according to the flags up there, it looks like there were some Cosmer, a Cosmer ship that came through here yesterday, and we're supposed to come back, but they are missing. We're gonna need to take a look around, of course, but I want to make sure that we are good to go and we're not going to run into any trouble.
I mean, it's Tuesday, Captain. We always run into trouble.
Yes. That is that's a rumor I have not been able to shake us of. Or not a rumor. What are they called? Superstition. We've not been able to shake. Certainly. Anyway, I just want to make sure that there aren't going to be any rifts in the sea that will fall down on our way out there. And any migration information that you have on these charts is up to date?
Yes. There should be no rifts and no holes in the sea as long as we don't go. Where are we heading, Captain?
Due northwest.
Okay. Expect some rifts. I'll try to warn you before they happen. And
Wait.
Prickles walks off to the helm.
So rifts being gaping holes in the sea that lead down into the darkened roots below are definitely something we want to steer clear of. These are holes that appear in the sea when iron roots fall for whatever reason. Either they're at the end of their age or a leviathan knocks them over. They are often used as places of study, pilgrimage, worship, or sacrifice. But none of that is of interest to you all. Avoiding them at all costs is all you care to relate to them. Well, we're making good time, and I'm getting hungry, but we'll stop for a brief meal before we go. Let the crew know to weigh anchor, and we'll have a meal and be on our way.
Aye, aye, Captain.
All right. The crew is all going to gather together in one of the rooms on the ship. Dill, where do you think that is? The galley?
There's a small eating nook in the galley. It's a little cramped, but people are getting served directly on plates, so there's no need to have room for platters or anything.
Excellent.
Fit.
Excellent.
Might be a little messy.
All right. So grilled cheese. Why don't we go ahead and engage in our first roll of the day of the campaign, really.
Oh no.
No, just give me let's do a roll.
It's a grub check.
It's a grub check. Thank you. So let's take a look at this system. So in this system, we build a D6 pool of dice. or a pool of d6 dice that will be between 0 and 6 dice based on some things here. We have your edge that you'll choose, a skill, and then any advantages that you might have, or aspects of the situation that might grant you an advantage will also add 1d6. And then you have these aspects that might enhance the roll or the outcome in some way. So, Andy, tell me, what edge are you using for this roll?
Tides. The curiosity about the lore of whatever local cheese is being produced by these places is always something that Dill is curious about. And if he passes a market with a new ingredient he's never seen before, he's going to try it and grow his culinary map.
Okay, yeah, we'll use that. I think learning and exploration make a lot of sense. Both trying new things and using what you know to try and make something that is gonna some flavor profiles that will match makes sense to me. Now, what's...
And just to be clear for setting the scene here, Dill has no sense of taste or smell, so nice. He has no idea how pungent or eye-watering the onions were in the kitchen, or B, what the grilled cheese actually smells like. What this cheese melts to smell like.
Right, because you're an ironbound, kind of a golem person made of ship detritus and debris and salvage that formed itself together to make a person. So you have no sense of taste. Excellent.
Oh my God.
And I assume that you're going to be using cook as your skill.
100%.
Okay. And do you have anything that will provide any advantage to you, an aspect or a resource, for example?
Well, the flavor engineer aspect, I can treat salvage as specimens when creating meals. The results are still oddly edible.
Okay. What salvage are you going to be using?
Oh, I guess you have not collected any salvage yet, so never mind. That aspect doesn't apply.
Well, so you have two over here. You have the heating element and diffused shells. I think a heating element makes perfect sense for a grilled cheese.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Good call.
All right. Cool. So that will be a 3d6. Give me a 3d6, and there will be no cut to this roll.
Come on. Hang on.
You doing the...
Yeah, I gotta
He's doing the thing.
He's doing it.
Three dice. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
We're rolling dice on the play date today.
I love it.
A 5,
1, 2, 5.
a 2, and a 1. Fantastic. So, as a result of a 5, that is a conflict, a success with a drawback. It can usually mark or clear a box. We are not working on a track here, however. The cheese is good. The onions may be a little too squishy. Maybe they were overdone. But
no such thing.
Good enough. Captain Soliday says.
Dill would know.
Yeah, it's true.
Is there anything to report? Any news anyone wants to share?
I'm continuing to, after our last market visit, build up a stock of ship biscuit to keep us fed while we're at sea and away from supply. So it's coming together nicely.
Excellent. I don't think we'll have much trouble getting supplies of ship biscuits, but I do prefer fresh meals.
Of course. It's always good to have a backup plan.
At this point, has the captain told us like where we're heading and what we're looking into?
I would say that throughout the meal, she's kind of like between bites, kind of like, so there's some Cosmers apparently that passed by this area, and they were, based on what the flag said and what I know of the Cosmer in this area, from some of my contacts. They, I believe there is a group that has been conducting Leviathan research and attempting to either hunt or limit the hunting grounds of the Leviathan. At the very least, try and understand it. Sounds like it didn't go well.
I think Amber would. She's like, well, what were they carrying? Where did they come from? What direction did they come from? I think she's trying to determine if there's anything that might be of worth on the ship that we're investigating. If there's anything left that might point her towards good salvage.
Well, people from the sky tend to have useful stuff. They live on those islands in the sky, so I'd imagine there's at least something worthy that they might have on them. Hopefully there's something left to be salvaged. We are running a little bit low on funds, as you know, and we haven't really shown much for the last week or two of salvage and jobs. So really counting on finding something here, and we'll make do with what we can. But there's been some growing concerns among various captains, I've heard, with all the rumors going on of other ships disappearing, that these are becoming unsafe waters. So hopefully we can scrounge up enough and maybe get out of the Foxlofts. Go find somewhere else a little safer to sail, with more profit to be had. All right. Hoist the anchor. Let loose the sails once again. Or the kites once again, and get those creepy ass tentacles moving.
I bring the onion scrap to the engine to feed the engine.
Yes, nice. We have a tamed hive for an engine, a buzzing organic engine of honeycombs and crawling workers. Their movements a complex dance. This engine is fueled with stolen flowers and unprocessed pollen, and we're also ruling that it's got a beak because we also have tentaculary for our bite, what allows us to move through the trees. And the tentaculary is a living cluster of tendrils or tentacles attached to the ship's hull, carrying it through and across the waves in an unsettling alien motion. I'll say on a day like today, with the wind blowing and the kites carrying it forward, like I was saying, it's kind of like leaping and bounding rather than tendriling. The tendrils love it. And the tentaculary being hooked up to this hive, that the worker insects of the hive somehow providing motor energy, locomotion to the tentaculary. There is the hive has a large beak that you can just feed with whatever. The insects of the hive definitely bring it like nectar and fruit and little bits of whatever it can find, but feeding it your scraps is fine. Now you only rolled a 5, Andy, so the engine isn't gleeful, but it is doing all right. Okay, so there is going to be some nice smooth sailing. You all will pass the boneyards, which is an area of the Foxlofts where there are some really large sets of Leviathan bones of the past that for some reason in this part of the sea just live on the surface. The trees don't let them sink. It's kind of a dangerous area to sail, but sometimes you can find some cool stuff. All right. And as we reach about midday, we are going to arrive upon a reef, an area of just a bunch of dunk and detritus from the shipwreck of the ship that we saw in the early montage. And that ship was called the Giant's Fang, though you probably don't know that at this point. But here we just see a bunch of just loose debris and waste from the ship just lingering on the surface of the sea among the leaves and branches. There are a bunch of areas where there are people holding on to or laying on boards or of wood, sheets of metal, and various other objects. Some just kind of laying on the sea itself, being overtaken by ivy and brush. And most of the bodies in this area are bloodied and are being feasted upon by some strange creatures that aren't really of any major concern to you, and they are known as wretch beaks. For those of you with your handbooks open, you can find these on page 234. They are disgusting. Imagine a person-sized vulture, except instead of wings, they have long human arms and hands that have freakishly large palms and long fingers, and instead of like talons that they walk on, they have human legs that are long and lanky and have very wide feet and long toes. And they are feasting, so to speak. And as you approach this area, you're moving really fast when you finally come across this shipwreck. And it took a bit of time that led you to the early afternoon to find it. But it didn't become particularly difficult when you saw some birds flying around, like vultures. Haha, literally. And you find that there is not much to be had here. Not much has survived. In fact, nothing that you can see. But there is, however, at least one person who did. Salt. It has been one of the most challenging days of your life since your ship was attacked and destroyed by some massive creature in the night. And you are not doing well. Can you please introduce us to Salt and what they've been up to survive these last 12 or so hours?
So Exaltair, affectionately known as Salt from his recently deceased missing crew, is a Cosmer from the islands in the sky, satellite islands. He wears a mask made of, if you've ever seen images of meteorite metal in jewelry, or a meteorite that was cut in half, he has a mask made out of that metal, so you see that pattern. He's got a star pattern cloak that seems to kind of move a little bit, despite what kind of breeze or lack thereof there is. And he is huddled, shaking, and looking back and forth, like constantly on edge in the shade of a branch or a shade of leaves while sitting upon a branch. And at his feet is a ghostly form of a cat that is just kind of sitting there trying to console him, trying to like tell him that things are okay, but he is just completely unaware of it. And yeah, he has been just kind of, he hasn't been able to hunt because creatures in the area, one's able to hunt for food. He's not been able to find any. It would require venturing out into the sunlight, which he just does not want to do right now. He's not about that in this moment. The darkness is safe. The darkness is home.
So would you say that he's been kind of hiding in the next layer deeper of the sea, the tangle?
He knows that his best he's afraid of something that's lurking below. He's afraid that Leviathan, well, I say afraid of, to him, he knows that Leviathan is still down there. He's heard it moving around. He knows it's there, and it terrifies him. He does not want to get any lower than he already is if he can help it. So he's staying at the top.
The thrash.
The
topmost
thrash
layer. Okay. So over the last many hours after all of these wretch beaks have appeared, what few survivors there have been approached by these creatures who you've probably encountered in your time here down on the surface of the sea, down below your home in the floating isles of the Cosmer. And normally wretch beaks are just birds of opportunity or predators of opportunities. And they really don't like to have to fight for their food in any way. But they will appear among those who are dying. Now, in some instances, for prey that is not dead but dying, they will appear and begin to strangle their prey. There is someone near you that you didn't realize was on the verge of death, and a wretchbeak has been moving towards you, but its attention is drawn away to one of your sailing companions, and it begins to choke them. What do you do? Its long, large palms and fingers pressing against their neck and wrapped around it.
Salt is like frozen for probably a moment too long to really save his companion, but finally gets the will. He can't just watch this friend of his die, and he's going to act, drawing his saber, and he's going to try to dart out and lash at this beast to scare it off of his troubled comrade.
Okay, let's build a dice pool for this action roll. Can you tell me what edge are you using? And let me switch to the character sheet here.
Instinct. He's not thinking about anything in this moment. He's purely acting on instinct. The only thought put into this was, am I going to sit here? Am I going to flee? Am I going to try to help? I'm going to try to help. From that point on, his brain is off. Okay. He's just going in.
Yeah. And what skill are you using?
I'm going to be using Hunt.
Hunt, a skill of observation, marksmanship, and precise action. Use Hunt to turn the tables on the sea's many predators and pick the best of their trophies. I will accept this, especially since it hasn't seen you yet. I think normally, would it be hack? Is there like a more physical attack based skill? We'll take a look when it comes time for it, but I will accept that. So yeah. Instinct plus you have 2 and Hunt is 3 dice. Plus you have a Comet Forged Saber, a fragile blade made for precise, deliberate strikes, deals close range, close quarters, keen damage. When attacking, a Triumph allows you to reduce a slash target's immunity or resistance to a single type of damage by 1 step. So that is going to be 4 dice due to this advantage. However, you are mired. Mired is a term that is used in this system. Mire, the insidious slow degradation of thought and morals and reason that creep up on you in the untamed places between ports. Most manage it the best they can, seeking out wonders to match the horrors they witness or indulge in vices. Those that fail to manage their mire sink further and further into their own cruelest natures, eventually reduced to little more than a beast of the waves themselves. Encountering a crew or even an entire settlement fully immersed in their mires can be a harrowing experience. But one fact stands above all others. No matter how deep the mire, it can always be escaped. So suffice it to say, you have been rattled by the recent experience of a Leviathan attacking and destroying your ship and leaving your crew to die. What few of them survived the encounter. So I am going to take your 4 dice pool and give you a cut of 2. Meaning, whatever dice you roll, the top 2, throw them out. They don't count.
Oh, right. It's after I roll.
It's after
it's not
you
just
roll, which
reducing
is
the number of dice.
exciting. I love this mechanic.
I get to see what I miss out on.
Exactly.
All right.
Here's to 3 6s.
So, Salt darts out, hoping to cut the. I'm sorry. What was the creature's name again?
It is a wretch beak.
He's gonna dart out and try to sever the wretch beak's mandibles or tendrils that are grabbing his crewmate.
They're just like really freakishly large palms, like hands.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna try to cut them away or damage them, get them to let go.
Yeah. It won't take much to get the wretch beak to piss off.
So
what do we got?
What I get to cut is a 6. And then another 6. Those are gone.
Uh-huh.
And what I get to keep is a 6.
Yeah!
And a 4.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Okay, 3 6s and a 4. So that is a triumph. Does damage plus a possible effect. So you slash at this wretch beak. What do you manage to accomplish with your slash? You have the brush to paint a picture.
Okay. Salt, despite his shaking hands, despite being exposed to the sunlight that he does not want to be a part of right now, despite what he's afraid of below his feet, lashes out and is able to deeply gouge into this creature, causing it to pull away from his friend and possibly cutting into if it's got some sort of protective layer or something to that effect.
Yeah, excellent. Now, one other fun little bit about this system is anytime you roll doubles. Well, let's see. No, we're throwing out the first 2 6s.
The double.
So there are no doubles. But normally, if you hadn't cut those other 6s, we would be adding a twist and inviting everyone else at the table to weigh in and add some sort of suggestion.
And that's just a double. It doesn't have to be like a double 6.
No, it doesn't have to be
1,
whatever your highest die is. If you had rolled, let's say 6 and 2 1s, that is a triumph with a twist.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what is great about this too is that as your traveling companion is freed from the clutches of this wretch beak, they begin gasping for air, but they understand the gravity of the situation that they're in with all of the predators around, and there's sure to be more than the wretch beaks. So as they begin gasping for air, they like limit how loud they are being, and they like reach out and grab you. Salt, thank you so much. We gotta get out of here.
Can you run?
I don't know. Maybe. I landed on some thick branches when I dove out. We'll see.
Let me rephrase. You must run.
Okay. And we will cut over to the rest of the crew on their ship, which I believe we have now named. Are we in a agreement of what our ship is called?
Was it the last one from our discussion?
Assume so.
Then
I
yes.
hope so.
There were lots of emotes
I vote
in
yes.
response to that. So this is Andy. I need you to pronounce this because I'm probably gonna butcher the first word.
It's taco.
It's taco. Okay.
It sounds
Yeah, if you
exactly
want,
like
I think if you want to be really careful about it, you should hit the K in a way that really is like a
Taco.
phoneme that doesn't really exist in English. But
Yeah.
I think you can just say taco, and we'll know that it's a K.
Right.
Yeah.
Taco.
As in octopus.
Yes, as in like takoyaki, octopus balls, which are one of my favorite sides to order at a ramen restaurant. So this is
Awesome.
this is the Taco Tuesday, which is great because it is Tuesday. But of course, for this crew, as we know, that's unlucky. All right. So, for the rest of the crew on the Taco Tuesday, you hear the
Also, just
Mhm.
I just want to say, Dill has no idea what an octopus is, so he does not understand that pun at all.
Right, of course, of course, and maybe no one does. So you all see a wretch beak suddenly go darting away from an area. It's not screeching, it's not screaming. It too understands that if it is loud, predators will come for it is now wounded. But there is some sudden motion, and that could likely mean one thing. Something injured it, and your attention is drawn, and you see huddled underneath some leaves, trying to stay out of sight, these two, I assume y'all are black clad. I did include that in my description of the Cosmer, but these two cloaked and masked clad figures that cannot be mistaken for anything besides Cosmer.
Yeah, I don't know what his mask looks like. Not Salt, but his companions. But is pointedly every mask is very unique.
So, what do y'all do as you see these overboard survivors of this shipwreck?
I think Amber is gonna jump into the fray. She's got some super cool spring heel boots that enable her to like jump and make just without having to roll one. So she's really agile on her feet. But I think that her course of action is she's gonna grab some rope. She's gonna grab some hooks. And I think that as she's like going to like run and like jump off the edge of the ship to try and land near this body, I think that her spider is gonna like chase after her and like put a hook into like the belt loop of her gear so that she can like be hoisted back up because she tends to leap without thinking.
Incredible.
He's struggling behind her and like hooks a little rope on her belt, and she's just like, and she goes and I think she's gonna jump as close to this unknown Cosmer as she can, seeing that he's still alive, and she's gonna offer him her hook and be like,
I think as you like jump off the side of the ship, you'll hear Salt shout to like pointedly to his friend, flee now, run, we gotta get away. And I'm gonna like start trying to run away from you as well, and away from the ship.
Totally fair. That's a very safe response to have. While you're running, like as you're running from me, I'm gonna be like, we're here to help.
I'm gonna yell,
on the ship?
turn back, danger.
Yeah, I know, you're gonna die.
Below, danger.
We have grilled cheese, kind of. Come aboard.
Fantastic. So as you two begin shouting at one another about the danger you're each surely to face, another voice warning of danger enters your ears, and that is the sound of pinwolves. You will see these on page 230 of our book, and I will go ahead. Maybe something I'll do, I'll just start like pasting images into our Google Doc temporarily so we can see what stuff looks like. So give me a moment to find this. But pinwolves are something far more concerning than the wretch beaks. These are actual predators that will fight and fuck people up. So here on the Amber Bloom page, I have posted an image of a pinwolf. They are vicious pack hunters with stiletto limbs. They are a seemingly omnipresent threat across the various reaches and territories of the Wildsea.
So creepy.
Yeah, they are super creepy. Their habits and cunning, combined with their natural speed and vicious nature, make them a serious threat to even experienced sailors. Despite this, they can be trained, usually at a great personal cost. So yeah, they have these pin limbs that allow them to, like, if they can pierce into it with their, like, I guess, toe, they can climb it. They also have very strange staccato movement. It's very irregular and erratic, so it's hard to predict them, and they can kind of leap with bursts of speed. And they have this strange corkscrew tongue that make them very mobile and well-muscled, able to grab things even though they don't have hands. Their fur is very tough, so they have some tough armor. Yeah, usually if you're fighting one, you're fighting many.
Oh God.
Or
okay.
I'll say if you're dealing with one, you're dealing with many. So you hear the howl of pinwolves in the distance. And at this point, I'm going to introduce on our notes section a track called Rescue Survivors. You begin to hear among the wolf cries, the cries for help. Other voices are speaking up and letting you all know that they are out there. Pinwolves are hunting. The pinwolves are not here, but depending on how these rolls go, they might end up being there soon.
Can we tell from the sound relative to, like, our position where they are?
Yeah. They're all going to be coming from, like, let's say north. So they're...
Is that beyond the wreck, or like relative to our ship at the wreck, where like
we can say so you all were coming from heading northwest.
I think I'm heading closer to the pinwolves.
Yeah,
away from the ship, closer to the pinwolves.
Oh my God.
So,
okay.
Phasm is heading deeper into the shipwreck, meaning you're not necessarily going to be able to follow him in the ship without endangering the ship. Going into a shipwreck is really dangerous with all of the debris. It can cause problems. But yeah, the wolves are all approaching in as a group. They, however, are not inhibited by the wreck. They, of course, are used to living in the sea. They can jump off of the branches and really anything they want. God. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I have
what do
an
you do?
idea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
really quickly. Sorry to cut you off, Shannon.
No.
The individual that Salt, who you don't know the names of either of these individuals at this point, but he goes, "You have to go after him. He just saved my life. I'd help him, but I can't run."
I'm gonna. Okay. Oh my God. So I'm gonna scream back to my ship, and I'm gonna say, "Get the crane!" And I'm gonna encourage my shipmates to lower the crane, and then I'm going to say, "Get to the crane," and tell any survivors you can to get to the crane, and then I'm going to go chase after Salt through like the branches, and I'm going to rescue him whether he wants to or not.
Excellent.
And then hopefully someone will hoist me back when I have my arms around him. I don't know what the signal is. Maybe I'll just scream. That's my plan.
All right. So, as you articulated, as you scream, I'm going to check off the first box of this Pinwolves Are Hunting, because you have given them something to move towards.
Fair enough.
What do the rest of you do?
I think I go ahead.
Go
Andy.
ahead. I'm sorry. No, please.
I think I tell the captain, take the wheel. Put the ship between the howling of the wolves and the survivors. We're going to go hunting. Oh, and I think Amber wants you to lower the crate. And then I will walk away, not waiting to see if the captain actually follows my orders, because I really don't care. And then I will go into the lens room and yell over to Dill and say, Dill, man the port side. And I will take my spyglass and look out, and I will try to use one of my aspects of my character.
Ooh.
I have an aspect called Iris Blossom. You can see heat the way others see color. And I will look out through my spyglass, and I will try to identify the pinwolves by their heat signature. And hopefully my friend Dill Streganon will stroll up to the port side, and I will be acting as a spotter, calling out where the pinwolves are, where they're coming from, and letting him know.
Awesome. Go ahead and give me a roll to identify the location of as many survivors as you can. What edge are you using?
As far as an edge, I think I'm probably going with... Let's see here. I have to look over my edges again. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with sharps. Logic, wit, and planning. I know what's coming. I can hear it. I know it's going to be there. I know that they have a heat signature. I know that they're going to stand out against the Wildsea. I'm going to be able to see them if I try to look through this way.
Makes sense. And your skill? Sense, probably?
I would say sense, yes.
All right. That's 3 dice. And then I think that is a clever use of this aspect of Iris Blossom to use heat to identify people. So that's another die.
Okay.
And then... let's see. You also have the ornate spyglass as well as being in the lens room.
Yep.
But I think advantages can only give you up to 2 additional die. But that's still going to be like 5 dice.
5 dice. It seems like 5 dice to me.
I did describe this as a bright summer. A bright, warm, sunny day. So there is some competing heat. So I will give this a cut of 1.
Okay, so 4 dice?
Should be 5 dice. 1 from Grace.
It's still the same number of dice.
1 from Grace, 2 from Sense, 2 from your aspects and the ship stuff. But then you cut the top one. So you roll all 5 and remove the highest.
Roll 5, cut 1. Got it.
Yes.
1 dice went off the table. We'll be trying to...
For dice don't count.
All right. Looks like I have a 6, which will be cut, and then I have 2 4s and 2 3s, Nick.
Okay.
So that seems like a 4, and there is a double here. There are doubles, actually.
Yes. All right. So with a 4, that is a success with a drawback. What would the drawback be? Does anyone have an idea for a twist? So you're definitely going to be able to start identifying where people are, calling that out. I think that the captain is going to be at the helm, moving the ship, using the direction you provide, which is very helpful. And I think that Dill, you're going to have to be on the crane, since the captain is moving the vessel right now. But you are being barked orders for like where to throw them.
Nick.
Yes.
I wasn't spotting the people.
Oh, I'm sorry. What were you spotting?
Spotting the wolves.
Oh,
He's spotting to hunt. I was getting ready with the cannon.
Oh, I'm
Like,
so
That's what.
sorry.
Yeah, I know what you
Yeah.
got. I know what you got hanging on the back of that pot, on the
Yeah.
back of your back. There.
Okay, my mistake.
I know what I'm doing.
Sorry. Yeah, you know where the wolves are. And
I will say for a twist, one of the aspects of the wolves is mottled. The pinwolf's hide shifts and flickers, giving it efficient camouflage against the rustling waves.
yes.
Uh,
Right, but
So we could just
I think because Prickles is using using heat, that has no effect here on this particular roll. So yeah, now you know that they're out there, but they're not here yet, so there's nothing to fire at, I guess is my point. Once this this track is completed, the pinwolves are hunting, that is when they will arrive.
I have an idea for a twist. While spotting the pinwolves, you notice something on the wreckage of the ship that has a large heat signature.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that.
That's a good one.
Now, I think that the drawback is that because you are spotting the wolves, and I'll say that I think with because of the fact that the wolves aren't here yet, you have time to also begin to identify where some of the more obvious people who are still alive are. You're able to kind of make out the difference between the heat signatures and the kind of just look of the predators, like the Wretchbeaks in this area, and the Cosmer. I think part of what helps is the fact that the Cosmer are wearing black. So they are super hot, like being out in the sun.
So hot right now.
Yeah, so hot right now. I think that the drawback is that the ship is going to take a point of damage to armor, since you are not spotting the wreckage and directing the captain where to go, but not what to avoid.
Okay.
Sounds fair.
Brunch.
Sounds good.
Crunch. I thought you said brunch because that seems very on brand. All right. So
that's what we can be if you play your cards right.
My character's not all food puns, okay?
Yeah. So you're able to spot some of the people where the wolves are. You move a little bit too far into the debris field, but the ship is now imposed between the survivors and the pinwolves. All right, what next?
I'm gonna chase Salt. I'm gonna keep chasing Salt through the underbrush.
And
Or the thrash.
But actually, Shannon, before we jump to that, while the pinwolves are still on their way, but we have survivors coming very close to the ship, what is Dill doing?
Dill is getting the crane ready, lowering it down, and riding down with the crane bucket to start ushering people into it.
Nice.
Load them up. And every time he does that, he is shoving a biscuit into their mouths to be like, feed, you need your strength.
Excellent. I will go ahead and mark the first section of Rescue Survivors. Excellent. Okay.
Have any of you guys seen Tasting History on YouTube?
No.
There's an episode where he makes hardtack and like he clinks two pieces together and it's very loud. That's what I'm picturing. You're like shoving into these people's mouths as they're
Aww.
It's nutrition, it's survival, it's not taste.
There.
You are saved now.
Yeah.
Welcome to safety. All right. So you are chasing after Salt.
Yes.
What I think we're like on a large like branch, or we get on a large branch and it just kind of leads to like a dead end, where it's kind of tilted upwards a little bit. To fall would be really dangerous. There's nowhere to really jump to. And I think Salt reaches the end of this branch, turns around, and he's realizing he's basically like kind of stuck and trapped here, he's going to wait for you to approach, and once you're in earshot, he's going to say that the ship is too loud, it's too dangerous. We got to get away from it.
What language is he saying it in?
Low sour.
Okay. Because there are many languages that I do not speak.
Yeah. So low sour is a language everyone should speak. For Amber, being someone who has been trapped in Amber for hundreds of years since the futuristic megapolis that used to exist on this planet before the Verdancy. Low sour is probably something you've gotten the hang of. It's probably close enough to the language you're used to speaking. But you do at this point have complete proficiency
and
with
understanding.
it.
Okay. I'm gonna say, yeah, I know it's loud. We got to get out of here. You need to come with me. We will get out of here.
You don't understand. It's still below us.
Yeah, that's why you need to come with me, and we're gonna get out of here. You got to come with me, buddy.
That ship is a dinner bell.
Yeah, we're gonna get out of here. I don't know how to. You have, and I think I'm gonna like lose my patience, and I'm just gonna walk towards him like with my arms out, and I'm gonna wrap it. Nope, it's happening. I'm wrapping him up in my arms, and I'm gonna tug the rope at the back of my belt, which is like the sign for my spider to like hit the switch and like whip us back.
Oh, sweet summer child, the switch. Do you all have a switch on your ship?
Yeah, on the little crank.
Not yet, Nick.
Rig ropes strung up above the deck for various purposes, often climbed, used as safety lines for a cargo crane, a sturdy crane for loading and unloading cargo, capable of carrying extremely heavy objects without overbalancing the ship. I bet the engine could drive that. But it's probably something that you would have to kind of like do a bit of a gear shift and move the engine's drive over from the engine or the bite to the crane system.
You have to engage something.
Yeah, like switch the power over to it. So
we give the beak some Honey Nut Cheerios.
There we go. Yeah.
And it starts winding her up.
Fine. So rig ropes wouldn't work for this?
No, it would. I talked myself into allowing it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it takes a brief moment. And in that moment, I think Exaltair has a chance to respond before you're both yoinked away.
The Leviathan is still here. I hear it below us right now. We must flee. Get away from the ship.
That's the plan, buddy.
Eat the ship.
Sounds good. I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna pet it here. Awesome. Super cool. Super cool, my guy.
How much is Exaltair struggling to break free?
He's struggling, but he realizes he can't struggle too hard because then he could fall. And that's also bad.
Okay. All right.
He also doesn't want to hurt this person.
That's fair. What does it look like for this hook and pulley and crane system to yoink you both away, Amber?
It's me holding a struggling Salt with one arm and kind of like making sure that the line doesn't get tangled behind me. And it looks ridiculous because my feet are facing this way, but we're being yoinked this way, so it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I bet. But you're kind of being like, because I'd imagine you're like out horizontally and you're just getting dragged along these branches.
Trying to like kind of keep my boots moving so that I can like stay on branches, and it looks really stupid.
Yeah, it probably does.
Looks so stupid.
Good thing you have a little bit of wave walk here. I think I'm gonna need a roll to do this without injuring yourself or like losing some gear or something.
Sounds good.
It sounds a bit risky and dangerous to be doing.
Okie doke.
So what edge will you be using here? Maybe grace or maybe iron? Elegance, precision versus force, determination, and willpower.
I think it's iron,
Mm.
honestly. I think that I think just because she's like, through sheer determination and grit, she's like, I'm going to hold on to this wriggling
Yeah.
little.
Like, I will keep my legs straight. I will not fall on my ass.
Yeah, I think, and she's like, he's got a cape on and he's got a mask and he looks very fancy. And she's like, I can't, he looks too fancy. Can't let him get hurt.
Okay.
So,
okay.
yeah, I think it's iron.
Iron and wave walk. Anything else?
Can I use an aspect?
Yeah, absolutely. You can use aspects, resources, or other parts of the environment or situation that would give you some sort of narrative fictional advantage, or boon. Any of it?
At this level, do you think seared skin would be more appropriate to use than tough as nails?
I think
Because I'm being dragged through.
seared skin would help you not to be mutated by the mutative chemical known as crezerin in the plants that you're being dragged against. But we have to we have to determine whether or not you're injured first.
That's fair. All right, so maybe tough as nails.
You're a natural survivor. Rolls made to treat or heal an injury you're suffering. This is once you're injured, you've got a way to recover or deal with it.
Could Risokinesis not be helpful in sort of making the branches a little slicker as you're dragged past them?
Ooh,
that's a great point.
That's
I was thinking
a measure of control. Yeah, kind of like using them to glide along and
grease us.
Grease it. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. I'll take
Resokinesis. I'm super into it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, so as someone who spent centuries within amber that had a little healthy dose of crezerin in it, you develop this resokinesis, an ability to control sap and amber and resin. That's really cool. I think also you have this shard cloak. This is also something that could help resist damage. I will at some point need you to determine what 3 types of damage your shard cloak protects you against, but we don't need to know that right now. But yeah, okay, so iron, wave walk, and resokinesis. Give me 3d6.
Hang on, I just gotta make sure they're not gonna fall off my table. I've got a 4, and a 2.
Ooh, okay. So a partial success. So, ooh, I forgot to ask. Travis, is there anything you're doing to help? It didn't really sound like it, but I will give you the option to narrate.
No. He's absolutely not doing anything to help. He's still struggling with the idea of like, maybe I should try to get away, but I don't want to hurt this person. But we're also, I don't want to fall either. He's kind of like stuck in position, both mentally and physically.
Okay. So I think that there is some keen damage here.
What damage?
Cutting. So there are a bunch of different damage types that are listed in the bottom left of the rules tab. We have like these 3 pages that are pasted in there with a bunch of different rules, and there's a chart in the red box that says damage types. And keen is for cutting and slicing and bleeding. So I think as you're being pulled against a bunch of branches and ivy and leaves and stuff, you're getting kind of cut and sliced up. So
good. What do I have to roll for that too?
No. Well, so let's take a look at your other aspects here. So you can resist the hazardous effects of crezerin, so we're just not going to deal with that.
Okay.
And you have this shard cloak, which has keen as an option. I guess I'm asking, do you want to commit to keen being one of the types of damage it is resistant to?
How difficult is it to recover from said damage?
Not too hard. I think that this would be like just 1 point of damage here, and you are also a natural survivor, so you can recover easily from stuff.
Okay. I'm gonna forego the shard cloak at this point, just
Okay.
because I don't know what type of resistance is gonna make the most sense, because we haven't really I haven't thought much about that. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
But I'll go ahead and I'll take the damage. Yeah.
Okay. So
Rather than resist it.
the way that damage works in this system is you can apply damage to boxes of your aspects if they apply here.
Okay.
And as you check off boxes of aspects, you get closer to the end of the tracks, at which point, if a track is fully marked on an aspect, you cannot use it.
Okay.
Alternatively, you can opt to take an injury, which is something that is more narratively based, where I get to impose cut or other effects to your rolls, such as lower impact or less effect, or just say, hey, you can't roll that because of this injury. So you have the option to take an injury or mark off an aspect here. And I think any of the like 3 or 4 aspects we described in this role would apply here if you wanted to mark an aspect, such as tough as nails or your shard cloak. So tough as nails, that would to me represent like you're actually taking cuts and they're kind of deep. If it was your shard cloak that you marked, that might be like tearing a little bit and less effective and need to be repaired, or be growing toward the point where it needed to be repaired. If you had chosen resokinesis, that might represent you in this moment, like, ooh, I'm about to get cut. Let me push myself with my resokinetic powers to like insulate the injuries, but it causes some mental strain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a way to recover once we've?
Yeah. It's very easy to recover. From your aspects. It just takes a little bit of effort.
I wasn't sure if it was like once you're done, you're done.
No,
punk.
no.
Okay,
there are ways of marking these boxes that are way more difficult to recover. That's called burning them. I've spoken about that with Travis briefly. He considered taking an aspect that required him to burn things, and that requires considerable effort to recover.
I see.
Okay.
I'm perfectly happy to take a little bit of damage on tough as nails for right now. It's totally fair. I'm literally being dragged through a bunch of like branches and treetops and stuff, trying to hold this person who had no desire. He had no desire to be saved. But damn it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. All right, you are getting pulled through the brush back towards the ship. The wolves are still howling as they draw closer. I'm gonna go ahead, as a result of time passing, mark another box on the pinwolves are hunting.
Oh my god.
Back at the ship. The captain has kind of maneuvered the ship where they want it to be. They've noticed that the engine has been kind of shifted gears over to the pulley system, and she just shouts, "Let's get them all up. We got to move quickly or we're not going to be able to leave."
Dill is to speak faster, has switched from trying to actually speak to the survivors to just blinking his eyes in signal at them, because he's also focusing on rounding up the remaining wretch beaks that are still lingering around.
Oh, sorry.
They scatter.
The wretch beaks are total cowards, unless the creatures around them are dying or dead. They're gonna scatter for sure.
Okay, then he's just trying to rapidly signal to tell everybody to get on the ship. If he sees someone who he thinks maybe looks like a char for this ship, he's also telling them where to heat up the soup for the survivors as they get on board.
I would imagine with the heavy black cloaks and the masks, I don't know how you would tell, but okay.
One mask has like some sort of char like nature to it or something.
He's got
maybe
tides.
Maybe different people have different like constellations drawn and embroidered on their cloaks. So maybe
I imagine the cloaks are like very unique too.
I'm sure as a golem he's young enough in the world to not know that, and instead just notices like grease spots on like one person's cloak, and it's just like, that's
fucking doing the like Sherlock Holmes, like noticing these small details. Grease on the lapel, worn cuffs.
Yeah, exactly. He's wearing the non-slip shoes.
The bottom of his mask appears to be pulled back more frequently than anyone else's, meaning he must lift it to taste things. Perfect. Okay.
He is also prepping his ornate cannon. I don't know if I need to prep that, but I'm loading it.
Let's see. Ornate cannon, a huge ship's cannon loaded with explosive shells. Increase impact when targeting a horde or swarm of targets. Well,
awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah. So just so you know, Dill's body and right side were formed in the wreckage of the collapsed kitchen, but his left arm was the adjacent powder magazine. So it has acquired some weaponry.
I love it. Okay. Well, can I get a roll from you to effectively and quickly communicate? I know you said you were using signaling here to try and do it.
Tides and signal to identify the cook.
Okay. All right.
And I don't know if flourish is a useful skill when it comes to signal.
So
signal as a language is a rhythmic light blinking language.
Right. So on rolls like this, you actually use the level of your language rather than the skill itself.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that trying to use signaling effectively here is going to definitely count. Note that you have the lowest level of understanding, so your kind of understanding and use of signaling is kind of rudimentary. Level 1 is like knowing like donde está el baño, me llamo es Nick.
Yeah, so he says the equivalent of heat stew in galley, serve friends.
And as he's like hooking people on, hold on tight, or
yeah,
hold hard.
Yeah, hold hard.
Okay. And then do you have any aspects here? I think one advantage is these people don't want to die.
Sure.
So they're very motivated. Anything else?
I don't think I have a good aspect right now for this moment.
Okay. Now I will also say that they are panicked. And that can create a lot of chaos and disorganization.
So can a kitchen, all right? This guy can handle it.
Well, I am introducing a cut of 1, not because of you, but because of them and their behavior towards the situation. So,
all right, so I'm just rolling 2 dice and I'm losing 1.
No, you're rolling 3d6. 1 for tides, 1 for old hand signaling language, and then 1 for the advantage of them not wanting to die. But then you're cutting the top die because they are panicking.
All right, 3d6, load it up. We ready?
Yes.
Yes, I love this thing.
Me too.
A double 6!
Oh
shit! So we do cut a 6, so that it's not a doubles, but you get a complete success. They move with efficiency and effectiveness. They're very grateful. These are, as I kind of described in the intro, used to working in high stress conditions with militaristic precision and order. They're disciplined, and they kind of fall into that that kind of training in this moment, and you start getting them all up. I'm gonna go ahead and mark rescue survivors to another tick.
Roughly, how many survivors are we looking at, like in the field
Well,
and saved at this point?
I don't get to roll a lot of die in this system, so I'm going to roll. Okay, I rolled very high. Let's take a look at your ship and how many people can comfortably sit on it. So you all are standard size. Let me remind myself of standard size and what that can accommodate. I believe it was up to 10 comfortably.
Yep, 5 to 10, I think.
So
You said these guys are military precision people. They can pack into a space, right?
But it's not just about the volume, it's about speed, like, and your engine being able to handle it. So the captain is going to say, this is too many people. Either something's got to go overboard, or we're gonna have to risk burning out the engine to get out of here. And at that moment, Amber and Salt just get like anime fishing reeled up into the air, and then they land safely on the deck of the ship. And we will go ahead and mark that all of the survivors have rescued. So there are now 15 survivors, including Salt, and then the 4 of you, the original crew, for a total of 19, twice the capacity of what this ship is supposed to be able to handle.
This is a dream for Dill. Yeah,
something I
all at once.
Something I noticed on the ship page.
Yes.
You have here tethered kites.
Yes.
I believe when we were doing the shipbuilding, you may have misheard me, which totally understandable. There's something called tethered kites, and then there's also something called tethered kite sail.
Okay. So I did look at this earlier today because I noticed a bunch of these, it was sourcing the wrong description. And this was written as tethered kite. And I didn't know which one. So, tethered kite sail? Or kite?
Yes.
Okay, let me take a look at this really quick.
Tethered kite sail, editions, page on the book, 176. Page in the PDF for the doubles is 89.
Okay. Well, tell you what.
If I can,
I'm gonna give you both.
Here, I'm gonna paste the thing.
We're just gonna roll with it. We're doing it. Tethered kite sail. There you go.
Okay.
And then this is a glider tethered to the deck with a long rope, allowing aerial exploration on windy days. I think it makes sense that your tethered kite that can pull the ship can also be used to let someone fly up.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Purpose.
What's your deal? Why do you bring this up?
I noticed something that I seen was an error, and I just wanted to catch it before we got like too far into it.
I mean, if before the winds were favorable enough that the tentacles were happily bounding across the trees, like if they were already going at like their max speed comfortably, like, you know, if the conditions haven't changed, they should still be able to.
It's not about speed, it's about weight. The tentacles are like straining under the extra weight of what is on the ship.
So
I'm gonna,
at least for Salt's weight consideration on the ship, he does have an aspect, eerie swing. You move with an uncannily light step. No matter how laden down you are, your presence never seems to add weight to surfaces. I cannot speak for the other Cosmer, though.
Oh, I like this.
I cannot speak for the other Cosmer.
Fantastic.
Roll for the Cosmer to be weightless.
Yes, please.
I don't have to roll for it. It just happens.
Nice.
No, I mean, I have this aspect. I don't know what aspects the other Cosmer
you're
might
asking
have,
me to roll
is
for
what
the
I'm saying.
others?
Whole group.
I'm leaving it to you to decide.
He's throwing the flavor out there and letting you have fun.
Yeah. That's awesome.
What
I love
proportion?
it.
What proportion of the 15 are waitlist now?
Well, I just rolled again and I rolled a 15, so I don't know if that means all of them or none of them. So what about you is this just like you're very nimble on your feet and you just
it's just
like what
like Legolas doesn't leave footprints in the snow. It's just one of those weird things.
Got it.
It's not I mean,
so hot right now.
one of the like aspects of the book, the fiction, magic is a known thing. There's weird stuff out there, but it's accepted that it works. That it's just like it's not considered magic. It's like a thing that's doing something. We just don't understand it yet, but it's got to make sense.
Okay.
So I don't think there's any logic really to what makes him so light. It's just something you guys observe of him. It's something that always has been.
Okay, here's what I'll say. Some of the Cosmer say we can help the engine. We can get some more power out of it. Are any of you the ship engineer? And you all look around each other at each other. Oh wait, does Dill have some engineering?
One of his aspects is a walking workbench. He is made up of ship, so he can he can fix a thing or two.
Okay.
I mean, when the ship's engine is a metallic object, then you need somebody who can fix metallic tools. When the ship's engine is a beehive that likes honey, you need a friggin' cook to fix it, man.
I will say this, Nick. I could see a instinct and rattle living workshop role to help the ship to work to collaborate with the Cosmer.
Okay, so you make a good point that the engine is organic in nature, not mechanicals. And I will also say living workshop is about making stuff, not about working on machines. So I don't think that living workshop applies. I think flavor engineer could help. I don't know. I think that just helps you make use of I love that I'm like, where's the engineer? You, the flavor engineer. I think flavor engineer is helpful in that it allows you to use one type of resource as a different type of resource. I don't know if it particularly like makes you more proficient. I think it just opens up opportunities.
Doesn't that mean I could find some sort of specimen from the tree we have growing on the deck, or just while I was down in the branches before and use it as like the perfect flower for these bees, like their absolute favorite, like cocaine blossom that just
Okay, tell you what.
I love that we get our tentacles hopped up on cocaine to make them go faster.
I think the crux of your like your role earlier was about getting their chef to the galley, which is probably located really close to where the beak is. Ironically, I think that was intentionally designed. So I think that what I want from you is a decision. The wolves are coming, and you all are not certain about if you're going to be able to get this ship going fast enough. So I need you to decide, are you going to prioritize defending the ship or trying to get the ship going?
I'm ready to fight if you guys want to fight.
I'm asking you, Dill. I think this can be a group decision, but I was putting that on you specifically because you have these kind of two areas of expertise that apply to this situation. I think let me while you marinate on that. Does the
captain know me? Does the captain know me well?
Yeah, y'all have been traveling for minimum a few months together, probably.
Okay, I hop on the intercom, like the little pipe that runs through the ship that you can yell into.
It's just a brass tube or something.
Yeah.
exactly.
Hold on. Our ship has an
Tin
aspect.
can
for
on a
that.
string.
Oh, does it?
Our ship with the research motif has a higher level of general technology on show that should we at the very least have a brass tube
Yeah.
from the galley to the captain's deck.
Yeah.
There.
Maybe even a brass tube that you can like pull a string and it directs to a specific room, so people can hear your
Oh, I love it. So
There's
good.
a series of brass tubes, and there's like one spot where like your tube will rotate to connect to the other
Yeah.
ones to go to different areas.
It's because you have this motif that you don't have to say like, "Hey, can everyone hang up? I need to talk to Amber privately."
So I hail the captain and I say fight or flight. On the captain's input in this decision.
So,
I might not do what they say, but I just want to know what the captain would say in response to that.
I think the Cosmer kind of help lend to the decision here. A lot of them looked like they were scrambling around to like prepare the ship to depart. Like they started pulling all the cargo crane stuff in. I think one of them even went over and was like moving the gear shifter over from the crane to the engine. And I think they're all like readying some of them are readying weapons too, those who feel ready to fight, but there is also a look of fear and panic on others, like just not ready to do this. And the captain taking charge says, "Those ready and willing to fight, stand to. The rest of you, find somewhere to hide." And she's going to walk into the cabin where the where you drive the ship.
Bridge.
The bridge, and grab a what looks kind of yes, the helm. Thank you. That's exactly what I was looking for. Grabs a gun that looks kind of like a mix of like a shotgun and a rifle. It's basically like a single barrel short rifle.
Blunderbuss.
The Schreifel.
A blunderbuss. I like that.
Nice.
I think that's what I'm talking about.
Blunderbuss always to me felt like a range shotgun.
Yeah, yes, it's basically a blunderbuss.
It's the exploration age sawed-off shotgun.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. So you all prepare for the Pinwolves. And with that,
Hey, Nick.
yeah, we're gonna take our first break here, but go ahead.
Oh, sweet. Then do you want me to come in with the first action after the break?
Absolutely. All right, we'll be right back.
All right.
All righty, we are back. You all have loaded up all of the survivors onto the ship and are taking some action to prepare the vessel to depart, but Captain Soliday has ordered that you all stand and fight, those of you that can anyway. So I have created on our tracker sheet here, along with an image of some folks standing to fight against a bunch of pinwolves. We have
God, there's so many.
I know. This is from page 218 of the book, and I cut off quite a bit of it, actually. There are even more pinwolves in the original.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's so good.
So we have 2 tracks here. Stand against the pinwolves, and I'm actually going to make that a 6 track. And then survivors. So I reserve the right on a failure, a disaster, or on a partial success, whatever that is called in this system, the conflict. I reserve the right to impose a consequence of survivors not making it. Each of these checkboxes is going to represent probably 1 to 2 survivors. Probably 2, since there were several that couldn't stand and fight.
Okay.
But once you all achieve 6 check marks of this track, you will have successfully stood against the pinwolves. Now, much like clocks in Blades in the Dark, you can apply any method you want. to addressing this track. It does not have to be combat. It doesn't have to be killing or slaying them. You can deter them, you can run from them, you can like whatever. But we've set up some kind of fictional positioning here where the ship is at high risk of failing if y'all start moving with this much weight on it. And that will be true after this combat too. So we'll need to address that at some point. But the wolves reach the ship and you all have been prepared. Who is able to act before the pinwolves reach the ship? And as they crest over a kind of a swell of a wave, you can see them like leaping and bounding and moving really erratically. So they are not just moving in straight lines. They are in fact moving along paths of least resistance, which with the sea and the branches is definitely not necessarily going to be a straight line. So as they approach and are about to leap up onto the ship, as they come into view, what do you do?
Now, I've been spotting this whole time. You tell me they're already at the ship. Do we have any chance to get moving at all before they get here?
You certainly can. You have opportunity. There was one check mark left on the track of them hunting. So they are on their way, and you have the initiative here to act.
Let me ask you this one. We were trying to avoid rifts in the Wildsea on the way here. Did we end up finding one?
No, you did not.
In that case, I will scan around and look for high ground. Is there any higher aspect anywhere around these pinwolves where we could get a little higher and force them to climb up to us? If you say no, I have one more thing I want to try, and
I don't.
You could be in a bleak situation.
I don't think so. I think y'all are out on the high sea. There's going to be like swells of waves, but you don't really have control over that.
All right, then I will immediately yell out to those preparing to fight to come here and grab these signal flares that the ship has.
Yes.
And I will instruct, as I'm pointing and gesturing out in the area, I will instruct some of these survivors to fire signal flares to the left and to the right of the swarm of pinwolves. My goal is to herd them into a line. And when they get herded into a line, I will line up a nice fat shot for our resident cannoneer to blast as many as possible before they can get to the ship and before we get into close combat.
Yeah, so we're essentially using your kind of like flare pistol aspect and mass.
No, our ship has signal flares. Like we have multiple flares. It's let's see here, it's down towards the bottom.
Right. But this would be the same as your flare pistol, or is it different? Like, is this equipping a bunch of people with flare pistols? Is what I'm asking.
No, this is equipping people with flares to try to change the direction of the pinwolves. I want to fire flares to either side of them and herd them into a group in the middle.
Okay, because I'm noting on your aspect flare pistol, it's a small sidearm loaded with chemical flares, and it can deal acid damage. So I'm wondering, like, can they use this offensively, or are these only for the purpose of like trying to scare them and herd them?
Well, they're signaling flares.
Okay.
If you fire one into the face of a pinwolf, sure, you can be used offensively, but I want to use them to redirect.
Okay, gotcha. I like.
So they were taking the path of least resistance, so he's creating resistance.
I see.
Yep.
Okay.
I want them going where we want them to go, and then Andy can fire right in the middle of their face.
Okay.
Nice. Awesome.
Do we all get an initiative action here, or is it just one?
Yeah, if you have the ability to do stuff before the wolves arrive, absolutely. Like, shoot your fucking cannon, absolutely.
I was gonna say, I think Dill might want to get roped up into the kite sail, so he's at a commanding high-level position over the ship.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
I like that. Okay.
Not way up in the clouds, but just a little bit over.
Sure.
Like,
Just don't fire your cannon into the hole, please.
no, absolutely not.
Okay. All right. So you. Yeah, go ahead. What is Amber up to?
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, can I use my resokinesis to like slow them down? To make the sap and resin and amber sticking to it stickier? So that like we have to kind of wade through it slower?
I think that your resokinesis probably allows you to manipulate resin within close proximity of the ship, but so you can kind of like affect the surface in the immediate area. But in terms of like hindering their approach, you'd have to get off the ship and go out to do that. And I don't know if there's time.
Totally fair. Okay.
But you definitely have time to set up some amber and sap and stuff, resin, wherever you want along the deck of the ship. So feel free to describe that as we
absolutely what I'm gonna do then. I'm gonna set up. I'm basically gonna make like a tar trap, but like a sap trap. Like as they're like they might have, they'll climb over each other or whatever, but like an event, like my goal is that anyone who touches like the side of the ship or like comes up onto the deck is like stuck, like they're like in a fly trap, like they're in fly paper.
Excellent.
That won't stop other wolves from climbing over them, but it will stop some of them.
Sure.
Until we can blow them up.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to Salt. When the command was given to stand and fight, he still doesn't like the situation at all. He's still like clearly a little unhinged. But after seeing something so glorious as Dill, this golem person grabbing onto a kite and soaring up into the sky, Salt remembers himself in that moment and will follow Dill's lead, grabbing another kite to soar up high while equipping his manifold bow.
Oh, okay. Manifold bow.
Finely crafted bow paired with an expensive quiver can deal LR long range, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Damage of 3 types chosen from the following list. I am choosing Spike, Volt, and Salt.
Okay. I'm just going to add Spike, Volt.
I'm assuming like you're like basically grabbing different arrows for the different damage is the way I'm envisioning it.
Okay. I don't know where to note that. Here, I'll add a note.
Yeah,
Spike.
It doesn't really provide
Salt.
a place.
So now if we just like hover over it, it'll show us. There we
nice.
go. Okay, cool. So as all of these wolves approach, I am going to need a couple of things. Prickles, I'm going to need some sort of coordination from you to get everybody to fire these flares at the same time and create some really awesome opportunity, especially for Dill, whose weapon is effective against like swarms and groups. So getting them all together effectively will provide an additional advantage. So this is kind of like a setup roll. So what are you using here?
I think I would like to use a grace for my edge. Elegance, precision, and quality.
Yeah.
And then I think I want to roll with hunt. The skill of observation, marksmanship, and precise action.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to like command and like, hey, left side, go. Like right side, go. Try to hem them in, and then use my own flare pistol to add to the mix.
Yeah.
Trying to force them and funnel them into a path.
Okay. I do want to point out that sometimes an edge that you have might not make sense. You can still roll if you don't have an edge that necessarily applies. But y'all have been doing a great job of pitching those. So yeah, Grace is good. Hunt is good. That's 3. Yeah, take 1 for these flare pistols. But once again, these people are a bit nervous and on edge. They have mire after all. So this is going to be a 4d6 with 1 cut.
Okay. That would be 5, 5, 5, and 2. I have 5s.
Excellent.
I have doubles.
Okay, so that is a... I'm gonna get this. That is a conflict. Success with a drawback. But it also includes a twist. I think that part of... well, you all tell me. What's the twist here?
You handed out flares to other people to fire, right?
Yes.
The twist might be that one of the people with the flares does something unexpected.
Like what? I like this. Let's follow it.
As Travis follows that thought, is this twist supposed to be positive, negative, or whatever the player making the twist decides?
Yeah, the book says that it doesn't have to be good or bad. It can be one or the other, or somewhere in the middle. Just something to add narrative flavor to the situation is what the mechanic is spiritually about. Or the spirit of the mechanic is about. Fun and interesting.
Maybe one, instead of targeting like around the pinwolves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I get there?
Yeah.
Sees like a weak spot on a branch that a couple of pinwolves are on and targets that instead to, because they're chemical, it's acid, right? Mm-hmm. So damages the branch, allows the branch to fall from beneath pinwolves. So the pinwolves, maybe that group of them fell behind even further because they had to like dart and like go off onto different branches or whatever.
So it delays some rather than funneling them together. Okay. I think that the drawback is going to be that there are some folk... I think there might have been some urgency and everyone grabbed signal flares. You all are now out of signal flares.
Okay. What do we mark that as a drawback?
I just highlight, or I changed the font of the aspect to red and put a strike through on it. So y'all will need to trade for some, refill those some way. Okay. All right. I think this is a good setup for Dill and Exaltair to let loose and fire. I think it probably makes sense for Dill to go first, seeing as he's got the AoE cannon.
Yeah, and also it was Dill's movement and spring into action that kind of like inspired Salt to follow suit.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, with the good spotting info from Prickles, Dill pulls the front edge of the kite down to swoop down over the wolves, and using his instinct, which speaks to sense, intuition, and reaction, and his flourishing skill, showcasing his rhythm and showmanship, he times out a blast just as he is swooping low over the wolves.
Nice.
I like that, especially going with like the rhythm of the waves. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that is 2. You're going to be using your ornate cannon, which has increased impact. So that is going to affect the outcome and increase the number of boxes we tick. You're also being set up by the chem flares, kind of herding them all into a kill zone.
A kill zone,
yeah.
Or kill box. Either one works great.
So I think that is going to be... wait, does the cannon add one? Or just allow you to make this attack? I think it'll give you a +1. And you have increased impact. So give me 46. There is no cut here. Unless... I did say there were high winds today, didn't I? So 46 with a cut of 1 and increased impact. So roll 4. We will get rid of the highest die roll. So we cut a 5, but you keep a 5. So that is going to be 1 success towards this track, plus the increased impact against the pinwolves. So we are a third of the way through the track.
Nice job, friends.
2 out of 6.
Excellent.
What is the drawback here? Oh, I know what it is. You fire your cannon, which lets out with a huge amount of force, and you lose a bit of control of the kite. And so you are spinning a little bit out of control, and it's going to be a while before you're going to need to regain control before you can act again.
Understood.
All right. So there's a huge explosion, leaves and woody material flying everywhere, along with fur and meat and blood, as there are yelps of pinwolves. The leading bit of the herd just gets absolutely obliterated. Is Exaltair following up on this or waiting?
Following up. So Exaltair is going to, while seeing Dill focus on the large group with this awesome cannon weapon that he's got, perfectly suited for that. Exaltair, he's a creature of light. He's a creature of the skies. He's in his element, high wind or no, and he's going to use that to target any pinwolves that were not successfully funneled, maybe some are a little bit further ahead of the pack. One's on the outskirts, not grouped up, and he's going to rely on his grace to grace and vault to navigate this kite in a way, sailing through the winds to line up really easy shots on these straggling pinwolves, using the manifold bow with spike damage.
Okay, I like it. So Grace with Vault is going to be 4. You also have +1 from... Well, I don't think you have +1 from the kill zone because you're single target, right?
Yeah, I'm single targeting the stragglers, ones that...
Well, it's certainly... I think it would still help in the sense that, oh, well, the one I'm aiming at, I might have missed it, but I hit the one right next to it.
Plus,
instead.
he has height advantage from the kite, too.
Sure. Okay, so we'll give you
at least 1, right?
We will give you 2 advantage for this. So that is going to be a 6 die roll. However, there is turbulent wind.
I am very exposed directly in the sunlight on this kite. I do not like it as part of my mire.
One of your mires, you fear the coming dawn and crave the night, and your hands are shaking under pressure. Your third mire. So I'm going to say this is a 6d6 with a cut of 2.
Excellent. Okay. Cutting 2, highest one is a 6.
Woo!
Cutting that's gone.
Oh.
Second highest one is a 5, that's gone. And I have a 4. And I have 2 3s.
Okay, so another twist. Any twist pitches while I mark off another box of the pinwolves?
I'm a huge fan of the idea that twists should be determined by the other players.
That is actually part of the rules. The Firefly and the person rolling should not be the one giving the pitches. If there are multiple ideas, I think you and I can like help workshop them with the rest of the table. Or if there is like a tie and we can't decide, I think the Firefly gets to pick. Rules is written.
I mean, you could. I guess this would be a consequence, not a twist. Hang on a second.
Correct. Yeah, we should not be adding consequences or ignoring penalties or making up for failure.
I suppose some of the wolves could notice damage coming from above and shift their focus from the side of the ship.
Oh.
Mm.
I like that because it could put me in a predicament if I screw up the flight or get too low. I have to worry about that now. But it's also a benefit.
Slow down the approach to the ship. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Oh. Huh. Yeah, I like that. And I think along with that, given their excessive ability to leap and jump, they're noticing that they can start that there is a tether, and they're jumping at it and trying to bite at it.
All right.
Just bite, just cuts the tether. Goodbye, my new friend.
All right. Okay, and with that, the pinwolves are going to make it to the ship and start leaping once they get close enough onto the deck. Many of them are going to, like, what little bit of their stiletto leg is piercing right into the sap is going to slow them down and make them less reactive. But many of the Cosmer crew are going to start engaging with them. Prickles, you're up in the lens room still?
No, I was out on the deck with flares, but
that's
I would
right.
like
That's right.
I would like to yell out something so that Shannon has a chance to act.
Yes.
And then set myself up to take the next action, if that's okay.
Sure. Yes.
I would like to yell to Amber, be like, keep the survivors in the center of the ship. And then I would like to run down to the engine room.
All right, I'm gonna corral them kind of like in the middle and like behind me and like just generally in the center of the ship.
Okay.
I don't have like a sword, but I do have a crowbar, which is something that I use quite often.
Sure.
In my cargo hold.
Half-Life approach.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. In this system, there isn't necessarily a penalty for not having a weapon. I think weapons do give you an advantage, though. So you would just be without like an advantage here. So if you want to throw down, go ahead and give me a roll.
If anything comes at me, for sure. I think my main focus was just going to be like focusing on the resokinesis and trying to like keep the wolves in place.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And like binding them like so that they can't move forward as much as I can, right? Like with the limitations of like what it is that it can do and what they are. Because they have like these little beady legs. So yeah, that's my main focus. I'm gonna corral them. I'm gonna be like, you got it, up to the active man, and then I'm gonna keep them in the middle and like focus rebound my efforts on like speaking to the sap and being like, hold them.
Yeah. Can you give me some kind of role to represent your efforts to kind of use the sap to
absolutely.
like you're like there are a lot of pinwolves. There are like at least a dozen on the deck in the immediate moment. And
I think with this one, I'm going to use iron again, the force, determination, and willpower, and then I'm also going to use outwit. Outwit as a skill, it's as a skill
avoid
of shadows,
threats.
secrets, well kept. Use outwit to avoid threats or to move them right where you want them.
Yeah, that seems perfect. Yeah,
that's going to be my role, and I'm going to have them like just right in the in the goop.
Okay. Give me 3d6 for iron and outwit.
That is a 3, a 3, and a 1.
Ooh, that
Bad.
is not good.
Yeah.
I think that a couple things happen. It is the pinwolves move with such speed and erraticness that it's really difficult to keep track of them all. And I hate to say it, but I think the sap against their kind of like stiletto legs isn't as effective as if it were the the big feeted what did we call those other things, the
wretch beasts or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
The ones that were slowed down on the side of the ship, does our ship's tentaculary not deal smacking salt damage? Like, could those have not sort of like helped to squish some of those guys who were moving a little slower?
They absolutely can, but you have to direct the ship. You have to pilot the ship to do that, and that is, I think, what Brian is getting ready to do. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, sorry, never mind.
I got you. No, it's a good idea. I got you, buddy. No.
He's gotcha. So I think that unfortunately, some survivors are going to take some hits here. So I'm going to mark 2 boxes of the survivors taking damage. Unless you want to push yourself and take the damage to your... sorry, I'm all over the place here.
Hull?
No. Amber, if you want to damage your resokinesis, for every 2 boxes of resokinesis damage you take, I will uncheck one of the boxes of the survivors.
Oh no, Amber's not altruistic. She's okay with like letting go of like a couple of red shirts.
Okay.
We'll save as many as we can.
Yeah, we'll
pardon.
save
I think I described them as black shirts, but okay.
Like, oh no,
They're not red shirts.
no, Timmy, Jimmy, no, goodbye. Oh.
All right. Yes, Brian.
Hey, we rolled 2 3s there, so a twist.
Yes, a twist, please.
Unfortunately, we have lost several. They were the players edge.
We lost several. What, honey?
I think move your hand from your mouth.
Got it. We lost. Sorry, but this makes me more dignified.
I know.
It does. It really does.
So hot right now.
Thank you. We lost some survivors, but those were our outliers and the ones who couldn't gather in. The twist is we lost people, but we were able to gather everybody together in the center of the ship that still survives.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. I think that is a good trade-off. You're able to at least direct people to the middle and get who you could there. Absolutely.
Totally.
Okay. And I believe that brings us to you.
All right. Prickles will run into the center of the ship and he will find the hive and the maw. And Prickles, part of the way he interacts with the Wildsea is he uses his innate senses to interact with living things, plants, animals, and those parts of the Wildsea around him. He will place one cactus mitt on the top of the beak and try to connect with it internally. And in his other hand, he will, as he senses the needs and the wants and desires of our tentacles of the ship, will take one of his specimens, Firefly bulbs, which he knows are eldritch candy. He will grab several flowers from on different parts of his body, crush them and the Firefly bulbs in together in his other hand. And when he senses the moment is right, as he tries to connect with the eldritch horde that powers the movement of our ship, shove the Firefly bulbs and flowers into the mouth of the beak and create a incensed state of rage of our tendrils so that they fling themselves over the ship and start picking all the pinwolves from the outside. dealing massive salt damage to them if they can connect.
So this is hitting all of the pinwolves on the deck, or
Yeah, we
okay.
put all of our people in the center for a
Yes,
reason, because we
yeah.
wanted the pinwolves on the outside of reach of the tentacles.
I
Yeah.
love this so much.
I'm just imagining them going like straight up bananas. Just it's like that scene in
bananas.
Futurama when
All right.
Fry is on the bed and it's the tentacle massage.
So, Nick, what I would like to do is I would like
Yes.
to use, I think, Sharp's logic, wit, and planning for this as my edge, and I would like to use sense as I connect with the tentacles on the ship and sense the right moment and the right mixture of flowers and firefly bulbs to give to them, and I would like to expend my firefly bulb specimen to give me an advantage.
Okay,
Mm.
let's back up a quick second.
Understood.
So when you are having your ship do a thing, you use the ship's stats, not your own.
I see.
Oh, okay.
However, I think that using your own aspects and or resources when applicable, I think is absolutely worth or absolutely works. So I'm trying to decide, normally, like if you're going ship against ship, you would be rolling saws. I'm trying to see if there's anything like about the tentaculary that make it so that you would use something else. And I'm seeing that because its bite gives you tilt, I think we're just going to have you roll tilt on behalf of the ship, which is 3d6 to begin.
Okay.
This also, the tentacles, the tentaculary does massive salt damage. I'm looking for the keyword, but I believe massive has implications, meaning like, I think what it means is you fill the rest of the track. I think that this, because you're attacking stuff that's on the ship, I would say that massive might not apply here, that tag, but I think because of the narrative situation and how the tentacles would just like come out from all sides and hit all the wolves, I think this absolutely applies 100%. I think that you described some other stuff that you were doing, like if you were going to spend the specimen to connect with the tentaculary, you were also using an aspect?
I was using a skill of sense.
Oh, I see.
To try to connect, but if I can't use sense because I'm using the tilt from the ship,
so
then I would spend the specimen. I don't have a particular aspect that I think would apply.
So yeah, I'm gonna say that this is a 4d6 roll.
Okay. Wish me luck, friends. That would be 6, 5, 4, and 2 with no pet. We got 6.
Okay, so there is a sudden lurch as the ship. Oh man, you're so lucky you got a 6 here, Brian. The ship, because it's like the tentaculary are using all their force to hold the ship up as much as they can. A bunch of them let up to just absolutely slam onto the deck, killing all of the remaining pinwolves. Just screeches. The remaining pinwolves that aren't on the deck just start running away with all of the yelps and the sudden slam. Their fear senses kick in and they leave. The deck somehow remains undamaged, though covered in blood and fur. And the ship does dip below sea level. And it's there is a tense moment where everyone just looks around like, holy shit, is our ship gonna drop through the top layer of the sea and fall down into the thrash and perhaps even into the tangle, the layer beneath that? But the tentaculary tentacles come back in and hoist the ship back up. And after a brief pause of further tension, there are cheers and celebration by most. As I think this is a very bombastic, bravado-esque setting. And yes, while it is sad we've lost a few of the other survivors, they in fact are now not survivors. I think the bravado kicks in and everyone has gotten through, especially these Cosmer have gotten through an extremely challenging ordeal and have found safety on your ship, which is still feeling a bit heavy, but I think that between you all and the Cosmer and some creativity, you're able to find a way to alleviate some of the weight issues, or at least address it enough to make it to port.
The tentacles are in rage mode to get us moving, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we've got like a good cocaine-fueled hour to get back to port.
And
Yeah.
also,
Before they start
we
getting really
also
tired.
lose two-fifths of our survivors. That's 2/5 of the weight gone. You know.
This is true.
Yeah, that helps.
That's why I was super happy. Shannon's like, no, I'm not taking damage. That's good. It's like,
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Jesus.
I was like, our ship is heavy. Get them out of here. I'm sorry. That's so bad.
it's
Sorry.
terrible, but it's effective.
It's awful. I think there is a lot of hugs between the Cosmer and you all. Is there anyone that is not? Yeah, I was just gonna say, looking at you, Brian. Is there anyone that does not accept a
Don't
hug?
hug the cactus.
I don't think they offer you hugs. I think they offer you handshakes and pats on the shoulder and back that are very ginger and careful, of course. You are a spiked ectus after all. How do you feel about the signs of affection and gratitude, especially the physical ones? I know that you have this mire or drive of not trusting people.
I'm very. It makes me very prickly.
Thank
Thank you, Shannon. It's somebody to like.
No, I got it.
Okay.
I love you.
It makes me very kind of, it makes me uncomfortable to get affection and respect. I'm okay with gratitude. I'm okay with affection.
Okay, I think we'll have a moment to address that next episode. I know we're like right at time. Dill, I think that you mentioned some pinwolf as a specimen here, which is absolutely a specimen you can take in abundance. I know there's tags for specimens. I'll look that up and give you a tag for those if you want them. I think that Captain Soliday is concerned about the weight, but is also like salivating over the idea of some steaks. They are already tenderized.
And salted.
Yes.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Are we leaving the area right away? Are we not salvaging anything from the wreck?
We can. Let's handle that next time.
Okay.
Any other final shots or comments? Things you want to say to another player really quickly before we go?
Right. Salt, in the midst of all the hoopla, approaches the captain. Where do you think the captain would be? You said the helm.
They were at the helm, but as soon as this shit's over, she is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna greet everyone who's come aboard my vessel. I'm going to welcome them. That is my duty as captain.
Okay. So Salt is going to find the captain. He's gonna like beeline right for her as best as he can, navigating around people and through people. And he's going to eye the closest bit of shadow accessible on the ship, and then look back to the captain and say, Can I sleep?
Yes. We'll find you somewhere nice.
Before she even finishes her sentence, he like takes like 5 steps to the shadow and like falls over and passes out.
And she nods. Like, this is not odd to her. Y'all have survived something truly horrific.
He is out cold, but through the course of the next like 10 or 12 hours that he's like absolutely passed out, any bit of sunlight that touches his skin, he'll like move into the shadow even while being asleep.
Yeah. Excellent. Cool.
I think
In the pinwheel,
wonder-
stiletto. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think that maybe Amber notices like his aversion and just like throws a blanket or like a tarp
Oh.
like over him, so he's just a big lump. Completely, so he's covered. You're good. Keeps like inching away from
Cute.
it, so you just throw a tarp over him. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, go ahead and take if you want a specimen, mark pin limb, flexible tongue, beast bones, or pinwolf hide.
And wolf hide. Yes.
And then there's something else called staccato amygdala that I have no idea what the fuck that means. Oh,
Beast bones would make a good stock.
yeah.
Well, sorry. What were the other ones? Because I was also
Here,
interested in the.
I'll put them in our chat here.
Do we mark it under salvage or do we mark it under?
It's a type of resource called specimens, which should be to the right of salvage.
If we're maxed out, can we add more?
Here, tell you what, I'm just gonna list it under the notes of the ship.
Perfect.
There we go.
Sounds good.
I was just asking if the stiletto appendages of the pinwolves are sturdy enough to be slung with their hides to make like cots for our survivors so that they could have a place to sleep.
I think that is very nice. I think that they'll need to be cleaned, but certainly.
I mean, they'll be disgusting at first. They got to sleep tonight. I mean,
yeah.
Pinwolves also the beast that provides the meat and their own kebab stick.
Yeah.
I like that. All
Perfect.
right. Well, our crew has found the Cosmers and helped many of them, most of them that were at least alive when they got here, get to safety. And they will shortly investigate more about what is going on with this strange attack. We will join you all next week, same time, same place, 6:30 Pacific, here at twitch.tv/Apollo_Nick. And that is going to be all from us today. If you enjoyed the show, feel free to subscribe on Twitch, although I would prefer you to donate to my coffee page, which is linked at the below the video here. And join the Discord if you want to come talk about the show and hang out with this lovely cast. Speaking of, thank you all for joining me on all of our first ever game playing the Wildsea. This was really fun.
I'm a fan.
Me too.
Yep, me too.
All right.
I'm gonna brush up on my terminology. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mwah.